Moadim Nasimha, welcome back. We are studying the 11th chapter of Qiddush HaHodesh. Finally, we are getting to Sod HaIbur, and more about this in the actual halachot about Sod HaIbur. But just before we begin, I want us all to, first of all, I want to apologize. I will probably not be able to give you as good an understanding of these halachot as they deserve. First of all, I do not understand them myself so well. Second of all, the time wouldn't be enough for that. But I can tell you that it's incredibly helpful to either notate on a paper with pen and paper everything that we are saying and doing the calculations yourself. You may pause the recording and then continue it later as you do so, or even use the diagrams and notations that are in some editions, like the edition of Makbili, or even the Yad Peshuta of Rabbi Rabinovitz, which are very, very helpful in understanding what's going on. One more thing, we will not understand this if we think of the world like we know the world is. So in order to understand these chapters, we have to start thinking a little more geocentrically. And I just want you to imagine for a second, think of a model of the moon going around Earth, Earth with the moon going around the sun, and it's a mechanical model. It's operated by battery, let's say, and it has all of these things that make it turn and rotate. So what would happen, and Earth rotating around itself. So what would happen if you hold Earth still and let everything else continue rotating? So what would happen from the point of view of Earth, if you hold this model and let it continue working? So the first thing that's going to happen is the rotation of Earth needs to be accounted for by the entire system. So the entire system is going to be rotating, if this model were real time, every 24 hours around Earth. So if you are in New York, facing the sky, looking upwards, and you see that it changes every 24 hours, what's happening is every 24 hours, everything around you is rotating once in a way. In addition to that, in a much slower way, you'll notice that the moon rotates around Earth every 29 and a half change days. And the sun rotates around Earth also every 365 and change days. So this is more or less the way we have to think about this. Earth is spherical. We are not on a flat Earth kind of world, but we are holding Earth static and letting everything else move around us. Now, is that scientifically correct? No, in the sense of, from the point of view of things larger than the solar system, from the point of view of galaxies, what's moving is Earth around the sun and not sun. But from the point of view of Earth, everything is a matter of perspective, the frame of reference. If you take the frame of reference of Earth, you see it from someone who is perceiving things from Earth. Yes, the sun is moving, the whole world, the whole universe around us is moving. So this system that we are going to be describing and analyzing you have to imagine you're standing on top of that sphere, that's Earth, and if you look up straight above you, with some adjustments that we'll see, everything happens straight above you, and straight above you, because that's pretty much where, so from east to west, what you'll see happening is every 24 hours, the way Chachamim described it, the way astronomers up to Copernicus described it, there is a galgal, there is a sphere that contains the entirety of the universe, and that sphere moves around every 24 hours. What we know today is a rotation of Earth. And then on top of that, you also see the sun going from east to west and the moon going from east to west. Everything is going from east to west for a very simple reason. It's against the rotation of Earth. That is really what's happening. But you realize that without knowing these very basic things that we take for granted today, they still were able in ancient times to come up with a system that more or less worked. It definitely worked for purposes of the calendar to an astounding degree of precision. הלכה א', לפי שאמרנו בהלכות אלו שבדין היו מחשבים בדקדוק ויודעים אם יראה הירח או לא יראה, given that we have said before that the bedin needed to always calculate to see if the moon was going to be seen or not before the witnesses come, ידענו שכל מי שרוחו נכונה וליבו תאב לדברי החוכמות ולעמוד על הסודות, so we also know that anyone whose spirit is in the right place and his heart is yearning for understanding and knowing the wisdoms and knowing the true reasons for everything we said so far. The first 10 chapters didn't really explain much, they just gave us numbers to play around with. יתאווה לדע אותם התלכים שמחשבים בהם עד שידע אדם אם יראה הירח בלזה או לא יראה. So such a person will also be very thirsty to know all of these calculations so that he could know when the moon can be seen, what night the moon can be seen or cannot be seen. בדרכי החשבון, יש בהם מחלוקות גדולות בין חכמי הגויים הקדמונים שחקרו על חשבון התקופות והגימטריות. And the math itself, the calculations, there are significant differences, significant mahlokot, arguments among the early non-Jewish sages that have investigated this. Tekufot means times when certain astronomical events happen, and gimatriot has nothing to do with counting the numerical value of letters, but it really has to do with geometria, which is a study of angles, etc. But it started as with a desire to know the metrics of Earth. Geo means Earth, and metria is metrics. So that's geometry in today's English. ואנשים חכמים גדולים השתבשו בהם. Rambam is saying very great people have made mistakes with these calculations. ונתעלמו מהם דברים, they ignored certain things. ונולדו להם ספקות, and because of that there were some things that became unknown to them. ויש מי שמדקדק הרבה ולא פגע בדרך הנכונה בחשבון ראיית הירח. And there is even those that go to very, very fine calculations to the infinitesimal degree of something, but even with that degree of sophistication, the calculations, they still don't know the very basics in terms of knowing when the moon can be seen with precision. It's like a person who goes and submerges themselves into very, very deep water. They used to, back in the day, dive in order to collect pearls from the water. So imagine someone who goes through the trouble of diving very, very deep, and all that he comes up with is a piece of glass. הלכה ג' ולפי אורך הימים ורוב הבדיקות והחקירות נודע למקצת החכמים דרכי חשבון זה. But as time went on and more calculations were done, some חכמים understood the very basics of these calculations. ועוד, and moreover, says Rambam, שיש לנו בעיקרים אלו קבלות מפי החכמים. We also have in these principles certain traditions that we received from our חכמים, the Jewish חכמים, וראיות שלא נכתבו בספרים הידועים לכל, and some other proofs that were not necessarily written in books that were available to everyone. ומפני כל אלה הדברים, and because of these things, כאשר בעיניי לבאר דרכי חשבון זה, I saw it appropriate to explain, to elaborate this חשבון, these calculations, כדי שיהיה נכון לכל מי שמלאו ליבו לקרובי למלאכה לעשות אותה, so that this is well set out, set forth for anyone whose heart brings him to actually come and engage in this subject, in this topic. By the way, these 9 chapters, according to many, Harambam wrote them after finishing at least Sefer Zemanim. He went back and added these 9 chapters. There was going to be a 10-chapter series, but then he added these 9 chapters afterwards. הלכה ד' ואל יהיו דרכים אלו קלים בעיניך מפני שאיננו צריכים להם בזמן הזה. Rambam says, don't underappreciate the value of these perakim just because we are not using this science to establish the months nowadays. שאלו הדרכים, דרכים רחוקים ועמוקים הם, because these paths, these ways, they are not very accessible and they are very, very profound. והוא סוד העיבור, and this is what Hachamim called the sod, the secrets of the עיבור, of when the month needs to be extended. שהיו החכמים הגדולים יודעים אותו, the great Hachamim used to know it, ואינן מוסרים אותו לכל אדם אלא לסמוכים נבונים, and they would be very careful about whom to transmit this to. One of the practical reasons for this might be because if they taught it to people who would then want to trick the Beddin, then they would be able to sort of adapt their fake answers to what they know the Beddin is expecting to hear. A more real answer is that these calculations, as you'll see, especially for people back then, are pretty advanced and are not for anyone. אבל זה החשבון שמחשבים בזמן שאין בית דין לקבוע על הראייה, but this calculation that is used when there is no בית דין in order to do it on the basis of ראייה, the חשבון that we studied in the first 10 chapters, listen to this, שאנו מחשבים בו היום, the one we use today, אפילו תינוקות שלבית רבן מגיעים עד סופו ב3-4 ימים, even children can get to learn the first 10 chapters in a matter of 3 or 4 days. That's not the deep stuff. Don't think that that's Sod HaIbur. When Hachamim talk about Sod HaIbur, they're talking about these 9 chapters, not the first 10. הלכה ה' שמא יתבונן חכם מחכמי האומות ומחכמי ישראל שלמדו חוכמת יוון בדרכים אלו שהם לראיית הירח, ויראה כאילו מעט במקצת הדרכים, ויעלה על דעתו שנתעלם ממנו דבר זה ולא ידענו שיש באותו הדרך קירוב. If someone who is reading these halachot actually is well versed and has studied these from Greek scientists or anyone else, and he'll notice that we use some approximations. Rambam says we are not extremely precise on exactly the infinitesimal degree that could be, and he might come to think that we were not as sophisticated as those Greek sages' books. No, don't think that. Everything that we decided not to be utterly precise on it, מפני שידענו בעיקרי הגימטריות בדעיות ברורות, שאין דבר זה מפסיד בידיעת הראייה ונחוששים לו, לפיכך לא דקדקנו בו. This is actually deliberate as a Rambam, and sometimes, and for that, you need to actually know very well, what approximation will change the result over various different calculations, and which approximations are not going to change the result. So Rambam says, when we understood very clearly with very certain proofs that approximating would not make a difference for purposes of Qiddush HaHodesh, we use approximations. And that's why we were not as precise as you might find in other books that are germane to science. But don't think that we don't know this stuff, says Rambam. Don't think that the Jewish science of Sod HaIbur is any less sophisticated than the geometry and astronomy that the Greek sages can give you. הלכה ו' וכן כשיראה בדרך מן הדרכים חסרון מעט מחשבון הראוי לאותה הדרך בכוונה עשינו זה. Also, if you see that there is a step that's missing, we may have skipped that step purposely. לפי שיש כנגדו יתרום בדרך אחרת, there is another advantage we're gaining by doing so, עד שיעשה הדבר לאמיתו בדרכים קרובים, and then you'll get to the right conclusion in a similar way. בלא חשבון ארוך, without engaging in the very long calculation, the very long formula, כדי שלא ייבהל האדם שאינו רגיל בדברים אלו ברוב החשבונות שאין מועילים בראיית הירח, not to scare people off who are not used to making so many calculations and all they want to know is when to see the moon. הלכה ז' העיקרים שצריך אדם לידע אותם תחילה לכל חשבונות ההסתגננות, בין לדרכי חשבון הראייה בין לשאר דברים אלו הם. These are the principles, says Rambam now, that the person must know in order to understand all the astronomical calculations. These are them. Number one, this is very simple. It sounds intimidating, but we are just warming up. Next chapter is going to be difficult, and then it's going to get even more difficult as we go on. But this chapter is pretty basic, and it's just very, very basic rules, ground rules, let's put it that way, of really the tools that we are going to use. הגלגל מוחלק ב-360 מעלות. The sphere, any sphere, is divided into 360 degrees. כל מזל ומזל 30 מעלות. And as we said before, we further divide the sphere of the heavens, in other words, the nightly sky that you see around you, into 12 sections, each of these sections being of 30 degrees. That's 360 divided by 12. And each of them is going to have a name that's going to be called a mazal. So each mazal is 30 malot. וההתחלה, the beginning of this sphere, מתחילת מזל טלה, is the beginning of the sphere, the mazal of טלה, which is תקופת ניסן. וכל מעלה ומעלה 60 חלקים. And every degree of these 360 degrees is further subdivided into 60 parts. וכל חלק וחלק 60 שניות. And each of these 60 parts is subdivided into 60 sheniyot. It's like sub-degrees and sub-sub-degrees. And back in the day, they used to be called, this is a sexagesimal unit subdivision, and it used to be called arc minute and arc second. So arc minutes and arc seconds, each one of them is 60, then each one of them is 60, the same that we do with hours, but in geometry, this is done with angles. So each degree corresponds to 60 halakim, each halak corresponds to 60 sheniyot. And then each sheniya corresponds to 60 shalishiyot, and so on and so forth. If you want to be very precise, you can go infinitely and further subdivide each of those into more and more and more. וכן תדקדק החשבון ותחלק כל זמן שתרצה. So that's how you can do this in order to be more precise whenever you want. הלכה ח' לפיכך, אם יעשה לך בחשבון שכוכב פלוני מקומו בגלגל ב-70 מעלות ו-30 חלקים ו-40 שניות, therefore, if you calculate that a certain planet is going to be within the galgal on 70 degrees, that's 70 degrees counting from the beginning of Taleh, ו-30 חלקים and 30 parts ו-40 שניות and 40 שניות, תדע שכוכב זה הוא במזל תאומים. Now you know that this is in the מזל תאומים, because each mazal is 30, and then there is an order to the mazalot, as we're going to see, and that's where you fall. בחצי מעלה תחת 20 ממזל זה, and within this mazal is at the middle of the 11th degree, לפי שמזל תלה 30 מעלות, because you passed 30 degrees מזל תלה, ומזל שור 30, then 30 for מזל שור. תלה means a little kid from an antelope, and then shor is an ox. Taurus, this is 30 as well. נשאר 10 מעלות ומחצה ממזל תאומים, and then what you have left is 10.5 of מזל תאומים, which is the next one. ו-40 שניות מחצי המעלה האחרון, and then from the last one you add the 40 שניות that we have also said that you wanted to find. הלכה ט' וכן אם יעשה מקומו בגלגל ב-320 מעלות, also if in the galgal you'll see that a certain point you want to find is in 320 מעלות, degrees. תדע שכוכב זה במזל דלי ב-20 מעלה בו. You'll know that this falls in מזל דלי, in the 20th degree of מזל דלי. ועל דרך זו בכל המניינות, and that's how you can do for all of them. וסדר המזלות כך הוא, and this is the order of the מזלות. טלה, שור, תאומים, סרטן, אריה, בתולה, מאזניים, עקרב, קשת, כתית, לי, דגים. This is all very helpful if you have it in front of you and you can see it, especially if you see it around a circle. Again, very simple stuff. This is just arbitrary names, and they come to signify different portions, 1 out of 12 of a sphere, or of a circle even. הלכה י' בכל החשבונות כולם, כשתקבץ שרית לשרית או כשתוסיף מניין על מניין, תקבץ כל מיני מינו, השניות עם השניות, והחלקים עם החלקים, ומעלות עם מעלות. וכל שיתקבץ בין השניות 60, תשים אותו חלק אחד ותוסיף על החלקים, וכל שיתקבץ בין החלקים 60, תשים אותו מעלה ותוסיף אותה על המעלות, וכשתקבץ המעלות, תשיך אותן 360, 360, והנשאר מ-360 ולמטה הוא שתופסים לחשבון. So again, very simple. Whenever you have units and sub-subunits, if the sub-subunits can make subunits, cancel them out and add them to the subunit. Then if the subunits can make units, add them to the units. And then if the units exceed 360, cancel out every 360 and start counting from that moment on, because you have just made a full circle. הלכה י"א בכל החשבונות כולם, כשתרצה לגרוע מניין ממניין, אם יהיה זה שקוראים אותו יותר על זה שקוראים ממנו אפילו בחלק אחד, תוסיף על זה שקוראים ממנו 360 מעלות, כדי שיהיה אפשר לגרוע זה המניין ממנו. Now, a simple mathematical A that Rambam is saying, whenever you want to subtract A from B in degrees, and A is greater than B, so just add 360 to B and then subtract B from A, it's going to be the same exact thing. הלכה י"ב, an example, כיצד, how so? הרי שהסליחך החשבון לגרוע 200 מעלות ו50 חלקים ו40 שניות. Let's say that your calculations require that you subtract 250 חלקים and 40 שניות, סימן רש נון מם, מ100 מעלות from 100 degrees ו20 חלקים ו30 שניות and 20 חלקים and 30 שניות, סימנן קוף כף למד. So how do you do this? Given that you're dealing with different kinds of units. תוסיף על 100 360. So one very simple thing you can do is just add to the one that doesn't have that has a 100 מעלות. So you want to subtract 200 from 100, right? So what do? So add to the 100 360, then you get 460, and then do 460 minus 200. ותתחיל לגרוע השניות בין השניות. תבוא לגרוע 40 מ-30, אי אפשר, תרים חלק אחד מן 20 החלקים ותעשה אותו 60 שניות, ותוסיף על ה-30 למציאות השניות 90. All of this is very self-explanatory, very intuitive. I don't think we need to explain it too much. תגרע מהם 40, יישאר 50 שניות, ותחזור לגרוע 50 חלקים מ-19 חלקים שכבר הרימות מהם חלק אחד ועשיתו שניות. It's really impressive how Rambam is explaining math with words. It's always a very difficult task, especially in the Hebrew that developed up till the time of the Mishnah that wasn't fully developed. So really the mastery of the Hebrew here is astounding for anyone who wants to enjoy it in the original. But basically I'm going to explain everything at the end. ותגרע מהם 50 יישאר 9 חלקים, ותחזור לגרוע 200 מעלות מן 409 ו50 מעלות, שכבר הרימות המעלה אחת ועשיתה החלקים יישאר 209 ו50 מעלות, ונמצא שאר סימנו רנת כ"ט נון, ועל דרך זו בכל גרעון וגרעון. So Rambam is saying something very obvious, and we do that with hours. If you need to subtract, let's say, 37 minutes from an hour and 10 minutes, so you have to convert the first hour to 60 minutes, and then add those up, and then that's how you do it, and then you add it back to the original hour, something that we do every single day. So I am sure we would not have a problem going through this math ourselves. הלכה י"ג. השמש והירח וכן שאר השבעה כוכבים, מהלך כל אחד ואחד מהם בגלגל שלו מהלך שווה. אין בו לא קלות ולא כבדות, אלא כמהלכו היום, כמו מהלכו אמש, כמו מהלכו למחר, כמו מהלכו בכל יום ויום. בגלגלו שלכל אחד מהם, אף על פי שהוא מקיף את העולם, אין הארץ באמצעו. So, a few things, none of which we need to agree with today. Harambam is saying that all the stars and all the planets that we see moving have a constant movement. Their speed is consistent and it's constant. There is no acceleration whatsoever. And that is within their sphere, within their orbit. However, the orbits around Earth is not perfectly in the center of these orbits. It's a little bit misaligned. That is correct. That's very true for our days as well. We see it not as round orbits. We see it as elliptical orbits. But this second element is correct. And then they had to go through further adjustments to explain certain acceleration that we know does exist, but they had a different way to understand it, that from the point of view of Earth, it works to a certain extent. הלכה י"ד, לפיכך אם תערוך מהלך כל אחד מהם לגלגל המקיף את העולם שהארץ באמצעו שהוא גלגל המזלות, ישתנה הילוכו ונמצא מהלכו ביום זה בגלגל המזלות פחות או יותר על מהלכו אמש או על מהלכו למחר. However, בגלגל, the large sphere, the one that has all the little stars, right? That's the way they saw it. They saw Earth in the center, and then the largest Galgal is the one that has all the little stars in it, the one that turns around every 24 hours, because really Earth is turning around itself. But that Galgal does have Earth in the center. So think about what that means. That means that the sun, vis-a-vis that Galgal, is not going to go at the same speed, because the circle is a little bit off, and therefore the amount of degrees with respect to that Galgal the sun goes during one quarter might be different than the amount of degrees it goes the other quarter. הלכה ט"ו, המהלך השווה שמהלך הכוכב או השמש או הירח בגלגלו הוא הנקרא אמצע המהלך. והמהלך שיהיה בגלגל המזלות שהוא פעמים יתר ופעמים חסר הוא המהלך האמיתי, ובו יהיה מקום השמש ומקום הירח האמיתי. There is going to be two names here that we're going to use. One is המהלך השווה, the average orbit of the sun, and that is the sun around its own orbit at a constant speed. But then you have also המהלך האמיתי, the true orbit with respect to Earth, which depends also on the dislocation of the sun's orbit with respect to the Galgal, and that is where we, from Earth's point of view, will find the sun or the moon. So we are not going to find it in a Malach HaShaveh or following a Malach HaShaveh. That's pretty irrelevant to us. We need to know it to calculate a Malach HaAmiti, but it's the Malach HaAmiti that we really are after. הלכה ט"ז, כבר אמרנו שאלו הדרכים שאנו מבארים בהלכות אלו אינן אלא לחשבון ראיית הירח בלבד. We already said in פרקים א' through ג' that all of this treatise of הלכות קידוש החודש, the main point of it is to know where the moon is going to be. לפיכך עשינו העיקר שממנו מתחילים לעולם לחשבון זה מתחילת לחמישי שיומו יום שלישי לחודש ניסן משנה זו, שהיא שנת 17 ממחזור רש סמך, שהיא שנת 839,004 ליסירה, שהיא שנת 984,100 לשטרות, שהיא שנת 900,000 לחורבן בית שני, וזו השנה שאנו קוראים אותה שנת העיקר בחשבון זה. So Rambam is saying now, for this halachot, we are going to take 1 year as a year of reference, and it's the year in which he wrote this chapter, presumably, and it's very helpful this year here, not only because it's helpful for this halachot, but generally Harambam what he's doing here is giving us the same year in various different countings, so we can later, if you want to know, for example, how many years to the Hurban according to Harambam, So you look at the year here, because he'll give you the year of the Beri'at Olam, he'll give you the year of the Shetarot, and he'll give you the year of Horban Abayit. So the 17th year of the 260th Mahzor of 19 years each from Beri'at Olam also was at that time the year 4,938, and which was for Shetarot. Shetarot is from the time Alexander the Great started reigning, which was a very common yearly system used back then. For the Shetarot, the year is 1,489, which is for Horban Bayit Shani 1,109 for Horban Bayit Shani. And this is going to be what Rambam calls Shinat Ha'ikar. Whenever we refer to it, it's referring to that year. Halacha Yud Zayin. ולפי שהראייה לא תהיה אלא בארץ ישראל, and because that the ראייה, we only care about the ראייה that's seen from ארץ ישראל, כמו שביארנו, עשינו כל דרכי חשבון זה בנויים על עד ירושלים. We are also going to assume as a point of reference the city of ירושלים, ולשאר המקומות הסובבים אותה בכמו 6-7 ימים, and its surroundings within a 6 or 7 day radius, שבהן רואים את הירח תמיד ובאים ומעידים בבית דין, because that's the radius that's going to capture people who come and give עדות HaHodesh. ומקום זה הוא נוטה מתחת הקו השווה המסבב באמצע העולם כנגד רוח צפונית בכמו 32 מעלות, and this place deviates from הקו השווה, from the middle line cutting Earth, with what we call it Greenwich today, but back in the day, this was somewhere in India, because they wanted to have the middle point of civilization, and that's where they thought it was. So Yerushalayim, if you take that point of reference, it's north from that point 32 degrees. At 35 ועד 9 ו-20, it's until, and the degrees are going to capture until 35 and until 29. וכן הוא נוטה מאמצע היישוב כנגד רוח מערב וכמו 24 מעלות, and if you take it, the degrees of latitude, not of longitude, you're going to get about 24 מעלות, 24 degrees from India, עד 27 ועד 21, and then this is going to be true until the 27th longitudinal degree and the 21st. So this finishes the first chapter of Sod Ibur, the 11th chapter of Qiddush HaHodesh. This was very introductory, but coming up, the next chapter and on is going to really pick up the pace and the intensity. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen v'Amen.